Welcome to ProjectME, the podcast. I'm your host, Tiffany Carter, the founder of ProjectME, multimillionaire entrepreneur, former TV newscaster, money-making expert, female empowerment speaker, and self-proclaimed office supply addict. My mission is to take the mystery out of making big money. Every week on ProjectME, the podcast, I'll share success tips, strategies, and stories from other entrepreneurs, experts, and millionaires, showing you exactly how you can achieve your most exceptional life. Now let's get to it. Exciting announcement for all of my listeners. I've officially opened my exclusive group, the ProjectME Passive Income Posse, to the public. This group is by application only, so we can keep the group high vibe and spend our time, energy, and expertise only helping those of you who truly want massive success and impact. You get live weekly trainings from me, special guest coaches, and direct access to me and my business partner for all of your questions. To learn more and apply, go to projectmewithtiffany.com, click on Work With Me, and select ProjectME Posse. And of course, any questions, feel free to DM me at ProjectME with Tiffany. Welcome to ProjectME with Tiffany Carter, the podcast and posse. I'm your host, Tiffany, and for all of my health, wellness, and fitness experts, lovers, entrepreneurs that listen to the show, this episode I created especially for you. I totally get the mindset behind you guys where it's like, this market is saturated. How am I going to stand out in an industry that like dominates the world and has been for decades? And then there's all these Insta famous people that already are doing a version of what you dream of doing. So who the hell would buy from you when they can buy from her? I really get that. And that is why I called in a great expert. Her name is Lindsay Young. She is a successful health-focused entrepreneur. She's a certified transformational nutrition coach and certified strength and conditioning specialist. The reason I chose her to come on to have the discussion we're going to have today is I didn't want to bring on someone who's like uber famous and well-known, because that can be a really like far stretch for people who are new or in their first 5 years of business to be able to relate to and see the possibilities. I wanted to bring on someone who's successful, but where you can see that it's achievable and possible. Plus, Lindsay's going to like spill the beans. She's not going to hold back. What's up, Lindsay?
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
So it's so funny how I call in guests. Like I really, truly knew I needed to have an episode about this because it prevents so many dynamic and amazing women from all over the world from going after their dream in this niche, in that health, wellness, fitness niche. And then you happen to be a client of a good friend of mine, Jordan Duvall's Ignite Your Soul brand, top branding specialist. She's amazing. And I know that she only takes certain people as clients. So I was like, okay, there you go. There's like that stamp of approval. You guys know how I always say like it's Tiff Carter approved. It was like, okay, she's Jordan Duvall approved. Okay, that's cool. And I loved your style. It's not in your face, but I also love that you do make sure to make it really damn clear what your niche is inside of this highly saturated industry. So would you say that is one of your first important pieces of information to tell the people is you better find a damn niche?
100%. And I know that so many people are scared to niche down and to get very specific. And it was not until I made that scary decision and committed to niching down that I actually started to draw in the clients that I really wanted to work with.
First of all, love that you say niche. This is a constant debate on this show. Is it niche or is it niche? And I'm like, rich rhymes with niche. So that's what I'm going to say. You say whatever you want, but I just think it's funny. It's the ongoing debate and I'll get like 100 DMs about this. So that's hysterical. So when I go on her Instagram, by the way, which is at lindsay.lives.well, she has right on here, just like what I teach you guys, it's very, very clear what her niche is. It says custom health programs for overworked women. Well, that's clear as fuck. So
Mhm.
tell us, what were you doing before? Because it sounds like you had to have like a come to Jesus with yourself about niching down. So what happened there?
Yeah. So, well, I have been in the health and wellness industry for over 15 years. And I wound up doing personal training at a private social club in Southern California. Had an amazing job. I was a 6-figure personal trainer and could not ever shake the feeling that I was supposed to be doing something different and I was supposed to be doing something more. And I have, no matter what my work situation has been like, I have never been satisfied working for someone else. I have always been wanting to be an entrepreneur. So, as my love for nutrition developed and I realized just from a really practical standpoint of wanting to help people, like I've always had a heart for really helping people and helping people transform in their health and wellness, that I couldn't do for people with fitness what I could do for them with nutrition. So as I went back to school and started really studying and exploring fitness and wellness outside of just exercise and in nutrition, I knew that I wanted to do that not under someone else. I wanted to do that on my own. So fortunately, I was in a position where as I began to grow my business, I could scale back from that predictable income. I know a lot of people are building up their side hustle and then get to that place where they have to choose one or the other. And that's really scary. And while I still think, it was still very scary to drop days and to drop clients, I did fortunately have that flexibility with my own schedule that I was able to say, okay, I'm no longer available for personal training on Fridays. Those are days I'm only taking nutrition clients. And then I got to a point where it felt like not pursuing my business full time. It felt like life or death, honestly. It felt like the death of a dream if I did not jump full into where my heart was. So I did have to, at one point, make that scary decision to let go of the 6-figure reliable income and jump full time into a business that I wasn't sure if that would be sustainable for the long term. So yeah, but niching down was a really important piece of that.
Did you already start out, when you were, so to speak, truly, you're a personal trainer. First off, were you an independent contractor or were you working like for a gym, so to speak?
It was kind of a unique situation where I technically worked for them, but I was an independent contractor in that I could come and go as I pleased. I didn't have a quota I had to meet. I could train as many clients as I wanted. Okay.
So while you were, so to speak, building this business on the side of your other business, really. And I get what you're saying with that. And so do a lot of like personal trainers who are listening, right? Because that's a great point. You can start scaling down which days you train people. You get to actually do it in a way that feels less scary. So I like that you pointed that out. Did you, upon starting your brand, The Lindsay Lives Well, did you go into it right off the bat knowing you want to focus on like burned out women?
No, I didn't. That was definitely something that developed over time. When I first started working with people, I wanted to work with anyone who would pay me. And I wasn't attracting the type of people that I really wanted to work with. And it was a conversation that I was having with Jordan a few years into my business that I think she asked me. And it was one of the first times that someone had actually asked me, like, who do you want to work with? And as I was describing the people, the women that I wanted to work with, I realized that I was not branding myself in a way to really attract those people. So I think as you work with people and as you have experience with the clients that you really love and you feel really aligned with, I think sometimes a niche is kind of born out of that. But I also can relate to that myself. I'm a working mom of 3. I had 2 jobs for a decade. So that kind of overworked, overrun, overwhelmed, I can really relate to.
So once you decided to focus on, busy, burned out women, right? Once you decided to focus on that, and you have to jump. You guys know I say, like, you can't dabble and have a successful business. It's all in or nothing. And so once you decided to go and after that specific type of woman with that specific type of problem and need, and you had a solution for that specific type of woman, how quickly did your business evolve? Meaning, where you started attracting more ideal clients after you niched?
So I started my business in early 2015. I would say I did 3 years of just kind of dabbling and trying to figure out what the heck was going on, growing really slowly. And once I decided that it was life or death, I was all in. I had to make really big investments in myself and in coaching and in my business, like working with Jordan, having mentorship. And it was from there that I ended up growing a lot faster. It wasn't until I took those big steps in making big investments in my brand and in my business that I really started to grow at a rapid speed. So I think the last 2 years is when my business has really taken off.
That's a great point to bring up. The thing is, people will ask me, obviously I'm a top business coach, but people will ask, like, do I have to have a coach in order to get to where I want? Whether it's a nutrition coach, whether it's fitness coach, business coach, whatever it is. Do you have to? You don't have to. But if you want to cut the guesswork and the time frame and the hit and misses out of it, that's what you're really paying for. You're paying for to speed up the process of someone who's already made the mistakes and has had the big wins and then knows how to get you there faster. But the catch is, you've got to pay for it, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And being in a service-based industry where you have value to give to other people and they have to invest in you, it's amazing the energy that unblocks when you are willing to invest in yourself in that aspect as well. I mean, every time I put down a big chunk of money on coaching and mentorship, a big chunk of money comes in people who are willing to invest in me.
Also, the universe is supporting your decision of investing in yourself, your worth, your business, which is to help other people. Like, it's also a form of universal validation. Like, Lindsay, this is great. Keep going. Like, you're doing the right thing. Keep growing this thing. You're helping so many people. So that's really cool that that's happening for you. And you know what makes me laugh? When people go like, no one's liking or commenting on my posts or sending me DMs. My first question is, how many people's posts do you engage with and how many people do you DM on a daily basis? Like 1. Well, then why would you expect people to start conversations with you when you don't start conversations? It's an energy. Like you said, like, you want people to invest and hire you as a coach, yet if you didn't invest in yourself, you're right. Why would that happen?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
So there is a mindset. I just got back from speaking at a very big fitness event, and I noticed a common theme among nutritionists, wellness experts, fitness experts, where there is this mindset block. That's why would people buy from me or hire me when they could hire, Miss Universe or, Miss cover model, fitness cover model, or someone who has all these advanced degrees in nutrition. Why would someone hire me? What do you have to say about that?
Yeah. So I have 2 things immediately come to mind. First is that when I look around, there are so many sick people. There are so many overweight people. There are so many people in need that there is more work to be done. So while it may feel like there are a lot of people out there doing the same thing that I'm doing or that your listeners want to do, like, clearly the need is still there. We have not achieved this high level of health in our country or in our world as a whole. So I would, just by looking around, it's obvious that the need is still there. And everyone brings something different to the table. Everyone has a different story, and people, they don't invest in you because of your method necessarily, or because of your education or your knowledge. They're investing in you because of the way that you present yourself, the story that you have that they relate to, the way that you phrase something that clicks with them. And I think that our uniqueness, that is our superpower. And you just never know who you and someone else and a third person and a fourth person could all be promoting the exact same thing. And you never know who your message is really going to land with. And one of the things that was really helpful for me with fighting against that feeling of, oh, this market is so saturated, is I stopped looking around. I stopped following other fitness people. Like, when I was scrolling through my Instagram, it was full of food bloggers and nutritionists and fitness people. And of course, I was closing that app feeling like there was no hope for me because I follow those type of people. But my ideal client isn't following those people. When they open their Instagram, they're not seeing all of that. So I had to intentionally stop looking at all the people around me and just focus on what I wanted to do and the people that I could help.
That's beautiful advice. It really is, because then that can ignite that comparisonitis. So if you guys are in that zone, because what happens is when we have that belief, the market's saturated, why would someone buy from me? I'm not a nutritionist. I don't have a bunch of certifications, or, I don't have a six pack, or, whatever it is you're telling yourself. You're going to end up seeing that online. You're going to end up seeing evidence of it, and it just reinforces that negative belief, and then you're not going to do anything. So how are you finding most of your clients right now? Is it from online, or are you converting people from when you were, doing in-person training into clients?
So I did not take a single in-person personal training client into my business. I left all of that. I didn't feel right about taking clients away from that place. I just felt like it was bad energy, and I needed a clean break. So I didn't take any of my clients with me. So all of the clients that I've had since then have been clients that I've generated on my own. And I've done a lot of organic marketing using Facebook and Instagram, and I've paid for help with with Facebook ads and things like that. And I do a lot of word of mouth. A lot of my clients, I think the reward for good work is more good work. And when you are changing people's lives and you're working with clients who fall in love with you, they talk about you. And so I wind up with a lot of word of mouth referrals because people are thrilled with the results they get, and they're talking about it and they're telling people. I've also been proactive about speaking events, even though they scare the shit out of me. Being on podcasts, doing collaborative efforts with people to get in front of their audience. It's funny that you say that you called me in, that you were looking for a nutritionist, because I felt like I called you in because I have been writing on my, it's one of my affirmations that I write every morning is I'm a sought after podcast guest, because I'm really intentional about getting in front of as many people as I can. And the in-person thing is such an this interesting tension for me, having an online business and wanting to intentionally get in front of people in person and do events in person. Because as an introvert, I really want to hide behind my computer all day and just post on Instagram and hope that people will find me. But I cannot believe the impact of the in-person events I do. Every time I speak in person, I get clients out of it. And even this last big launch that I did, I couldn't believe how many people were applying for it who'd heard me speak at an event I did in Northern California in May. I was blown away. I was like, I can't believe that those people sat in the audience listening to me talk about gut health and then followed me on Instagram and then found out about my launch and just it's just so clear to me, even though I'm so scared of speaking in person and it's so out of my comfort zone, that you just make a connection with people in person that can be hard to replicate online.
I 1,000% agree. I'm also an introvert, which a lot of people like you are. I'm just a highly socialized one. And I'm a trained public speaker and video communicator. So that kind of like trumps the introvertness, but I completely feel you on that. And I also think a lot of people in that wellness nutrition space are introverts. Because if you think about it, it's kind of an introverted thing. There's a lot of studying that occurs. You usually, you know, in the beginning of your career, work one-on-one with people. You know, there is a lot of not such of a big group type environment. So I know what my people are thinking is, okay, so how did Lindsay get speaking gigs? Like, how did you? When no one, you know, when people are like, well, you're not, you know, yet super Insta famous, right? So how are you getting gigs?
Right. So networking locally has been really powerful for me. Walking into yoga studios, walking into gyms, making relationships, talking to people about what would be helpful for the people who work out here. Could I come in and do a free class? Could I come in and make smoothies for the people that attend your gym? And making sure that I'm going to places that don't already have a nutritionist, so there isn't that competitiveness. But there are so many yoga studios, Pilates studios, like cycling studios. There are so many places where people go to exercise. And when you're working on your health and fitness, exercise and nutrition go hand in hand. So if there's a gap to fill, those places love having someone who will come in and offer something for their members and the people who are working out there. The way that I have gotten most of my speaking engagements, and this is a little on the woo side, is that I've been intentional. I have gone and told people I'm looking for a speaking gig, and things pop up out of nowhere. I'm looking to speak to more people. I've just been really intentional about my language and speaking and believing, and those opportunities, I think when you put yourself out there, those opportunities just kind of seem to come to you.
I agree, because you're being specific, and you guys can't see her, but I can tell by even when you say it now, you know it's going to happen. That's the part most people leave out of like manifesting and bringing in things into existence, is not really believing it's going to happen when you set that intention and letting go of the time frame. And so I can see why it works for you. Okay. So that was really helpful to hear, you know, how you got in-person stuff. What a great technique. What about podcasts? Are you going out and DMing podcasters that you feel their audience could benefit from having a nutritionist?
So Lisa Simone Richards, are you familiar with her?
I don't think so.
She is a publicity specialist, and she has a freebie on her website called Pitch to Podcast. And I have used her template to land every one of the podcast speaking engagements that I've pursued. So she has a really great, it's like a 5-part video series, I think, that walks you through just how to authentically pursue podcasts that you want to be on and not be sleazy and slimy and spammy about it. The podcast interviews that I have done, have all been podcasts that I admire the people who are running them. I listen to a lot of the episodes so that I can actually get to know the person who's interviewing, so I understand their audience. I know that not everyone, and depending on where you are in your business, I have colleagues of mine who have used services that will find podcasts for them. But just where I'm at with my business right now, I feel like the podcast that I'm going to go on, I really want to have a genuine feel for what it's all about. So I do my research and I review the podcast that I want to be on. I follow the interviewer on Instagram and comment on their things and really try to establish that relationship before I do the pitch, and I come to them with value. I say, I've got something that I think would be really valuable for your audience. I know you've talked about these things on your show, and I think that there's a gap that I can fill. And I just really come with an attitude of service. And all the podcasts that I have requested to be on, I've wound up on. Well,
I can see why, because that would work on me. You should see the shit that I get, right? Now, the people who do genuinely pitch in that manner, almost always it's a win. I would add one more component in that: make sure you're pitching in your lane. Okay. Like, I'm all about being really proud of yourself and empowering. But if you have 200 people in your following and you don't have you've not poured in love and energy and time into your content, don't pitch a top show like mine, because the energy exchange is not fair. You know what I'm saying? It needs to be fair. That doesn't mean you have to have tens of thousands of people, but just be really aware of where you're at and pitch people within that lane, right?
100%.
Because it can come across as, it's kind of like when the 90 Day Fiance people hit me up in my DMs. It's like, I'm sorry, but seriously, you're 400 pounds from Zimbabwe. Even if I was single, do you really think there's a chance? You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you have a lot of certifications, right? You're a nutritionist, you're a certified transformational nutrition coach, you're a certified strength and conditioning specialist. Another thing that people in your space tell themselves is, I don't have enough credentials. I need more credentials. I need to go back to school in order to pursue my passions. I'm interested to hear your take on that as someone who has all the credentials.
That is such a good question. I get a little weary when I see people spewing health advice without an education, because I think that can be dangerous sometimes, right? And a lot of times people who are in the health and fitness industry, they've had their own transformation. They've had their own experience. And then they want to go and they have that one way to teach because it's what worked for them. And then their model is to then go out and teach people what worked for them. And I go back and forth with this, because I really believe that those dreams and those aspirations are imprinted on our heart for a reason. And that if you have that desire, that it's already there for you, right? You're already a success. You just have to now live it out. But I do think it's really important that from a safety standpoint, that you are protecting yourself smartly, as far as having the credentials, having some sort of credentials, having insurance, having the right disclaimers and waivers up. I've had a lot of people tell me, I'm starting nutrition school tomorrow and I have people who want to work with me, and, what should I do next? And I have to ask, well, do you have insurance? Because you can't, it's a different industry in that you have to protect yourself from liability. So I think that there are a lot of different ways to go about it. You don't have to have a 4-year degree like I do in kinesiology in order to help people. There are a lot of certification programs that are a lot more specific and a lot faster, but I do think it's important that you protect yourself legally so that you do have insurance, you have all the right things. The fines are pretty major. If you're making health claims and have things up on your website that are not the right set up in the right way, you could lose everything if you get sued. So I think it's important to have your bases covered from a legal standpoint and have good insurance and have some sort of a credential that will, not from a credibility standpoint necessarily, but just from a protection standpoint.
I love that you're saying this, and I completely agree, because my other business I've had it for 11 years, right? I'm in the medical pharmaceutical supplement niche and doing digital marketing for those brands. And to make claims, you might not think you're making a claim, but one word can turn a sentence into a claim. And I've been doing it for so long, and I've come from the pharmaceutical industry. So I know, but she's absolutely right. And you might fly under the radar, when you're new or whatever. But as you start to grow, you better believe there's money to be had in suing people like you. So you definitely don't want to ignore that. What are some key mistakes that you made early on, or even last week, that it would have been great if you knew that before?
Oh, gosh. Well, one big mistake was not protecting myself legally for a long time. It wasn't until, so I went full time in my business, March 1st of 2019. And did not have the correct things up on my website. Of course I had waivers and all of those things, but I was not fully protected legally for a long time. And I just didn't realize it. It was just total ignorance on my part. So that's something that in hindsight, I really should have taken care of when I very first started working with clients outside of the gym. I think that my skill set is in working with people one-on-one. And one of the interesting things about entrepreneurship is that you have this passion and you have this talent. And then all of a sudden you're also doing tech things and building automation series. And I had wasted so much time figuring out all of those things that I could have easily outsourced and saved myself so much time and energy that would have been a wise investment. Those are two things that come to mind.
It's hard for people, especially entrepreneurs in their first few years, when you're not making a ton of money. Any money you make, it's like you want to be able to like keep that or and reinvest it in your business. And it's like, well, if I pay for outsourcing on this, that, or the other, when I could just figure it out myself, I'm saving money. But you have to remember, if you really hate doing it, your time and energy is money. You could be using that time and energy to attract, new ideal clients. And I can tell you this, I imagine the last thing you'd want to do is write really great content or create a cool freebie or show up on, Facebook Live after you've just spent 8 damn hours trying to figure out how to put a plugin into your website, right?
Right. Yes. Yes. 100%.
I mean, that like tech stuff is like, I'm tech intelligent, but I'm not tech savvy. And guess what? Even if you are good at something, that doesn't mean you should have to do it. Right?
Right. Yes. And I mean, I so believe in having all of the positive energy around your business. And I think that when you pay someone else to do what they're gifted and talented and they love to do, it's just a beautiful cyclical, like things come back to you when you give that to someone else.
What a great way to look at it. Because I have, and I vowed to not go down this path again. But I recently, meaning this year, I made the mistake of hiring someone to do a lot of different things, but a majority of the things I had her do, she actually really did not like doing. So who did that bite in the ass? Me and my business. So you also want to make sure that you're hiring people not just who can do it, but really want to be doing it, because it's crazy how powerful that energy, that negativity comes out in some way. And it's not pretty. I lost $70,000 in a week, by the way.
Oh,
thank you. I mean, money can easily be made back, but I mean, I just want to quantify it for you all. So for people who don't have as many credentials as you, I want to go back on this because I know the brain of all these mind, body, soul experts. Maybe they have, and I don't know the name of all the certifications, but like they may have like a training certification, or with all due respect, certifications that don't take 4 years, right? They don't have like an advanced degree. What would you say about that? Should they be, in your opinion, going and investing in more certifications if all they have are like 1 or 2 kind of like light ones?
I don't think that should hold them back from taking steps forward. I think there's a lot you can do with those light certifications. There's a lot of inspiration that you can do. There's a lot of education you can promote. There are still ways that you can be growing your social media following and growing an email list. And while also, I think kind of going back to what we were talking about with that positive energy in your business, I think that if you are serious about wanting to make this your career and not just your side gig, that you show the universe your seriousness by investing in that further education. And it doesn't have to be right away, But I do think, and again, it doesn't have to be a 4-year degree, but I think if you really want to help people on a huge transformational level, then you're going to need more education in order to do that. You can only take people so far with what you know.
I love that. What is a good way when someone asks you, which I'm sure you do get asked, I'm trying to figure out my niche, my niche. I'm trying to figure out like what it is, and I don't really know. I'm stuck. I'm confused. Like, I don't know. Am I supposed to just say, I help women get healthy, or how am I supposed to find that? Do you have any suggestions for them to help get more clear on who it is they're meant to help?
Yeah. I was just having a conversation last week with a friend who is so talented and is promoting so many different things right now and is not making any money because it's too vague. She could help anyone with anything. And she has a program for 5 different things. And I think that one of the most important things is to really spend some time drilling down and figuring out who is it that you want to help. Because even if you have the talent and the skills and the credentials to help a lot of different people, if you're in that arena and working with people that don't really light you up, it's not going to be sustainable. And that was one of the things for me with personal training is I was good at it. I'd been doing it for a long time. I could do it in my sleep, but it didn't light me up. And that's why I woke up every morning not wanting to go into work. So I think you have to spend that time thinking about the people that you really want to work with. And I also think it's important to remember that your niche can change. So if you figure out specifically who you want to help, what their pain points are, how you can help them, and you have some experience working with those clients, your niche will kind of develop over time, but you're not married to it, but you do need to have it at the beginning in order to actually draw in people.
Yeah, I agree. As you grow, you can expand. For example, right? I focus on female entrepreneurs and helping them get more clients and cash online. That doesn't mean I don't have clients who are men. That doesn't mean I don't have people who have actual brick and mortar storefronts, for example, right? So that doesn't mean you're not going to still be able to help other people, but you do have to target something specific, or you'll end up, as like I said to someone else the other day, you'll end up like fishing in the ocean, and instead of getting a fish where there's a lot of them, you'll end up with like tigers. You'll end up with tires and diapers and any form of like plastic that's polluting our oceans. Like you'll end up with shit is my point. Yeah, so I love that. Now, I know you created a recent freebie, which, by the way, you guys, is another key way on creating new clients, building your email list, especially important in this area of health, fitness, and wellness. So you have done a really good job of creating high quality freebies. Do you have any tips around creating these freebies that you found really, really work?
Yeah, I do a lot of market research. I do a lot of polls. Anytime I'm a big fan of pop-up Facebook groups, which I know is a really popular strategy right now. And anytime I have a pop-up Facebook group, I'm polling that audience and I'm asking them, what are the tools that they need? What are the resources they want? What is that one thing that would make their life so much easier right now? And it's always interesting how like the things that sometimes I want to create are not the things that people ask for. And I've created brilliant freebies before that nobody downloads because it's not really what they want. And even though it might be something I think they need, it's not really what they want. So that's usually where my freebie inspiration comes from, is the things that people are asking for.
Before we move on, for people who don't know, what is a pop-up Facebook group?
So, and I believe you've had people on your podcast that have talked about pop-up Facebook groups, but with the algorithm right now, and I saw this with the long-term Facebook group that I had, it was like the same 30 people were seeing my posts. So now around the way I have my business laid out right now is I run 12-week programs. I do 3 12-week programs a year. And before I launch those 12-week programs, I do a pop-up Facebook group, kind of leading up to that. So like I have a program that will launch in January. So during the holidays, I will do a pop-up themed Facebook group all about being healthy around the holidays. So and I think you talked about this on your program, like letting everyone in at the same time, having a very specific topic for that Facebook group. Again, really niching down and having it be a really specific, like this is the desired outcome. These are the people that I want in the group, with the long-term strategy of these are also the people that I want in my program following the Facebook group.
Yeah, and to go deeper into that, she's right. And it wasn't that many episodes ago, but I have a full in-depth episode on a top female who teaches how to do these pop-up Facebook groups. She makes millions just off these and converting people from them. So, and if you're like, oh my God, I can't find it, just DM me at ProjectME with Tiffany. So if you guys found this episode really helpful and it gave you some ideas, some inspiration, some hope, do me a favor, take a screenshot right now and tag me at ProjectME with Tiffany. Also, tag our guest today, Lindsay, at lindsay.lives.well. If for some reason you're driving and you forget her Instagram handle, just tag me. I'll make sure to share it in my stories and I'll tag Lindsay. But let us know that you loved the episode and that it was helpful. Also, I'm sure you could DM Lindsay and ask her any other specific follow-up questions, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. So yeah, reach out, ask her any follow-up questions you have to the episode. Of course, you know, I spend 2 hours every single day in my DMs helping you guys and answering your questions. So you can always hit me up. And she does have a special freebie she's created specifically for the show. So what is your freebie that everyone can go get?
Yeah. So my newest freebie is, it's a habit guide called Own Your Day. 7 daily health habits to take you from burnout to breakthrough. And this was birthed out of request from the ladies I'm talking to about feeling worn out and burnt out and broken down and needing to have some very simple, sustainable things that they could weave into their day that are not as overwhelming as a 90-day program or a scary list of eat this, don't eat that. So it's a guide that walks you through 7 habits that can easily be woven into your day. And they're not your same old boring, like drink 8 glasses of water a day, walk 10,000 steps. These are, a little bit deeper, science backed, just really fun, interesting. I think they're fun and interesting, healthy habits that can help you turn things around.
Love it. So we will have the link to that in the show notes. And if for some reason you can't navigate that, you can always DM Lindsay and she will drop that freebie right in the DMs for you. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your true behind the scenes and being so transparent. This is going to help so many people in your field have more confidence for going after it. So I really appreciate that about you.
Thank you. And thank you for having me. And I just want to acknowledge you for the work that you are doing and all of the amazing free content that you put out for people. When I see you and listen to your podcast, do you ever have those moments where you see someone and you say, like, they are doing exactly what they were put on this earth to do? I really feel that about your work.
Thank you.
So,
that means a lot to me. I'll take that in. And I do feel that every single day. And I'm happy to hear that comes across. Thanks for saying that.
You're welcome.
Have a beautiful day, and I'll talk to you soon. If you enjoyed this podcast, please write a 5-star review on iTunes. Not only will this make me super happy, but it will allow more listeners to find our special show. Simply help me help others.